C'est vrai? Exactement.
Tu nous donnes le feu vert. Alors. Oui. Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to open this conference. This is the fifth conference of this format that we have with Mr. Ambassador, Monsieur l'Ambassadeur. We didn't have during the wartime, so it's the first time in the wartime period. I think it's extremely important to have this contact, to update about the situation, the bilateral relationship with Ukraine. We know that, Etienne, you made a lot of effort to maintain the presence of the French embassy in Ukraine. It's extremely meaningful for the Ukrainian people, for the Ukrainian government. We see that more and more French people, French businessmen are coming to Ukraine, which is also a good signal for our business community. It's also the opportunity today to introduce Jean-Baptiste Brasseur, who is a newcomer in Ukraine. So he was brave enough to candidate for this position, but I think it's a good choice. You will enjoy, and it's an extremely interesting period of time, of course, for France and for Ukraine. Maybe I just want to remind that the French Chamber is extremely active during this period of time. I take this opportunity to thank Maud and Bertrand, who is maybe connected in Paris, because they organize a lot of events. I just remind you that in September we had this visit of Irpin with the Chamber. We had a very interesting meeting with the mayor of Irpin, talking about reconstruction, of course, but also about urgent need that they have in these cities around Kiev. We had the cocktail de rentrée, which was quite successful, with a lot of people coming, joining the cocktail. We had, I take not to forget the event, we had, of course, the conference with Xavier Titelman and Cédric Mass, very interesting. I think there were 10,000 views on YouTube, and I believe that we can go to 100,000 if we continue at this pace. We had this morning the Agro Conference, the Agro Committee of the Chamber, with the Vice Minister of Agriculture present. Very interesting discussion with him about the export, mainly, because you know that the grain deal, what we call the grain deal, has a maturity, which will be end of November. He expects that this corridor will be maintained after the 22nd of November, but it's, of course, a question mark for all of our farmers and for the agro, the business of agro in Ukraine. So, Etienne, I will leave you the floor, and then Jean-Baptiste, we will talk about your first impression of Ukraine, and maybe also about the projects that you have regarding maybe the reconstruction or other things that you want to message you want to deliver.
Thank you, Carlos, Mr. Chairman. It's really my pleasure to be here and to resume, as you have rightly said, Carlos, to resume this good tradition for the Chamber to host me regularly to speak about the work of the embassy and the political and economic situation of Ukraine. It's clear that the fact that we are here is in itself a symbol of the resilience of both Ukraine and also of our French pattern in Ukraine. And this is a signal that we are step by step going back to a certain kind of normalcy. If we look back, maybe one important element that you have mentioned is the fact that the French embassy has stayed in Ukraine all the time during all this crisis. I'm very, very proud of this. This was a direct instruction from my president, from President Macron, to keep French presence on the Ukrainian soils. This had two objectives. So, just you are aware of that. But so we, after the first days of the war, we were forced to be redeployed to Lviv, meaning that we left Kiev the 28th in the evening and beginning of end of the afternoon, to be redeployed to Lviv, where I spent 7 weeks with a small team. And then we were back to Kiev from the 15th of April, meaning that we were not the last to leave Kiev, but we were among the last to leave Kiev, and we were among the first to come back. And this is very important. And the first, if we look only to the G7 countries. And I think this was very important for two reasons. The first one for the symbol, and diplomacy is also a question of symbol, because we could demonstrate in practice that we were next to our Ukrainian friends in this terrible moment that they went through. So we were next to them in Kiev and then in Lviv. And also it was very useful for practical reasons, because we were capable to engage with Ukrainian authorities, in particular in Lviv, to bring them all the support they needed. And in Lviv, I remember with the small team who were with me at that moment, we were in constant contact with them to provide them with humanitarian assistance, military assistance, and the fact to be in Lviv next to them was really a great advantage. And we took key positions being maintained in Lviv and in Ukraine in general. Now we are, of course, back to Kiev, and we are in a reduced format. That's very clear. We are not as many as we were in February. It's normal, but anyway, we are now capable to, I think, to fulfill all of our missions in this reduced format. Regarding the economic sector, Jean-Baptiste, I'm pleased to officially introduce Jean-Baptiste Brasseur as the new head of the economic section. So before the war, you were 7 altogether, and now you just are 2. So
yes, exactly.
That's the point. So you see, and it's the same for the chancellery, the same for the consulate. It's reduced, but we are still here. This is the message I want to deliver. But for example, there is no longer an agricultural advisor. Mr. Dogno has left since the 1st of September. It's just to give you an example. So it's now Jean-Baptiste who is covering. He has much more on his plate. This is for the work of the embassy, and the preliminary remark that I wanted to make regarding our sketch and our format. Regarding the political situation and the military situation, once again, I'm struck by the resilience of the Ukrainian economy, of the Ukrainian people. We are really amazed by the resistance since the very first day, since the 24th. Maybe among our partners, we were among those who were the most positive regarding the capacity of Ukrainians to resist the aggression. And this analysis was right, and I'm pleased that we were capable to identify the capacity of Ukrainian forces and Ukrainian politicians, including, of course, President Zelensky, to resist this full-fledged invasion from Russia. Now, so there were different moments. I don't want to describe in detail, but there were different moments. My analysis is that there were two defensive victories for Ukraine. The first one was in Kiev, when they were capable to stop the invasion, the very first invasion. In Kiev, in Kharkiv, that was the first movement. It was in March and April, so this resistance, and then the Russian troops were forced to pull back, to get back to the borders. Then there was another defensive victory for Ukraine in July, August, when they stopped the offensive in Donbass. That was a different one because it was a very powerful offensive with a lot of artillery from the Russians. And this offensive has been stalled and stopped, in particular due to the weapons provided by the Americans, by the Westerns, in the HIMARS, Caesar, and so on. So this was stopped in July and August, end of August. And now we are in the third phase. So after the defensive phase, now they are in the offensive phase since the 1st of September. And until now, it's going well. So that you have seen that they have progressed in the north and now in the south. They go slowly, but for the moment, there are no real capacity from the Russians to stop them. So they are delivering this new offensive quite successfully. This is where we are. It is not the end of the story, of course, but so far, I would say that the balance is switching to the Ukrainian side. So we are fairly confident. We are fairly confident from a military point of view about the capacity of the Ukrainians to counterattack and to enter into the occupied oblast of Lugansk, Donetsk, and so on and so forth. So we are a bit optimistic. Maybe a last word on the political relationships between France and Ukraine. They are very good. I must be frank on that. There is no real difficulty between our leaders. We have a lot of visits. The president came twice since the beginning of the war. He came just before the 8th of February and then in the 16th of June. So the president, and he came with a good gift. He came with the gift of the accession status for Ukraine. So, and he's granted for that. He came with 3 colleagues, as you remember, the Chancellor, German Chancellor, Italian President of the Council, and the Romanian President. But he was the one who convinced them, in particular the Chancellor Scholz, to grant this status, accession status. So he got the light, and he's seen as the one who delivered this very important present for Ukraine. And then we have a constant dialogue about the support that we provide for Ukraine in the military side, humanitarian side, financial one. So there is a constant dialogue between ministers, prime ministers, and so on and so forth. And this dialogue is going very well. Sometimes you could see that they want more. Yes, they want more of everything. That's normal. But globally, they are very happy and satisfied with what they have received, in particular in the military domain. And so I do not foresee any political difficulties. This dialogue is at every stage. My level with my colleague of the embassy, ministerial level, presidential level, and there could be sometimes some misunderstandings, some discussions, but in global terms, the relationships are very well. Now we are concentrating, but Jean-Baptiste will tell you more about that, about the reconstruction, because they have this capacity to look ahead. I'm very impressed by that. They do not focus only on the military side. Immediately after, looking ahead and looking for the future. They're very impressive. To give you just the last example, we had a G7 meeting with Mrs. Verechuk, the Minister for Construction, and she was really asking us about liberated territories, how we rebuild, how we bring back public services and so on. So immediately after each village that they get back, they are putting back the postal services, train, electricity, or they trying to do that. So they are very positive and looking forward. And so we are also in this kind of mood, working hard on the reconstruction. Maybe Jean-Baptiste, you will say a word about the important event that we want to organize in Paris end of November, beginning of December.
Beginning of December.
Beginning of December. Yeah, I leave you giving the latest information. But also maybe we have decided, probably you're aware of that, but we have decided to select the Chernihiv region and Oblast to focus on regarding our support. That was also a good idea from President Zelensky. He said, I don't remember exactly when, but maybe in July or August, he proposed to international partners to make a selection and to choose to put a flag on a certain region. And I proposed, and I was followed by my colleague in Paris, to identify Chernihiv as this region to be supported by France. Why Chernihiv? There are different reasons. Because it was a very courageous city, it stopped the offensive against Kiev in March, because they were a nodal place for, in particular for highways, and the Russians wanted to enter the city to get the station and to bring their logistic to Kiev, and they were stopped by that. There was a fierce and difficult battle for siege, in fact, of the city, and the city resisted. And so it was one of the elements blocking the Russians when they wanted to go to Kiev. And we have good relationship with the governor, with the mayor also, and it is more or less in bad shape. There was a lot of destruction. So for different reasons, and it's not too far from Kiev. So when we have visitors, we can bring them to Chernihiv. And Valérie Pécresse, the president of the Île-de-France, visited the region, and last week the president of the National Assembly, Mrs. Braun-Pivet, she also visited, and she came to that region. Anyway, so this is our choice. So if you can also select Chernihiv region, so it's the city and the oblast. This is a global package. If you have some project for support, if you could choose, if it's convenient for you, of course, it's not mandatory, but if it's convenient for you, Chernihiv would be a good choice. That doesn't mean that we will do that we will not cover other places, but if possible, we will try to focus and to converge to Chernihiv as our main place for support. But we will do different things also with Kharkiv, Odessa, and Stry. And to end really on this matter of humanitarian support, I want to inform you officially that there is a big convoy coming soon through a boat that has arrived to Constanza. Now it's debarked. And the stuff will be delivered officially to Chernihiv and to other places in the coming weeks. It's quite big. It will be very visible with a lot of assistance, ambulances, fire trucks, reconstructions, equipment, and so on and so forth. And we have also, maybe if we compare with others, we have this capacity to make it to be good in communication. And the fact that it was in one big ship offered by CMA CGM, I think was a good signal. It's very visible, and I will communicate, of course, when we will hand over to the Ukrainian authorities the content of these boats. I will stop here, and maybe Jean-Baptiste.
Thank you, Etienne.
And then I will get questions, of course.
It's very important to say that the French embassy focus really on very pragmatic projects, matching exactly with the needs of the Ukrainian people. And I think it's also the spirit of the French business community present in Ukraine. We are trying also to address very urgent need where we can, because you have a lot of politicians, a lot of people coming to Ukraine, making promise, but it's words, you know, and there is no concrete result. Here, I think we have much bigger impact with this very concrete project where we help even small one. And the French community is pretty active in this area. So Jean-Baptiste, please introduce yourself in a few words, because we are eager to know you a bit more.
Thank you, Carlos, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself. I'm really happy to be here, and it's the first time I discover Ukraine. It's really since a couple of days, weeks right now. But before that, I was working at the secretary of the Paris Club. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's we are working on the debt restructuring of countries. And that was my last task. It was working on the debt treatment for Ukraine. So I was already ready for the Ukrainian affairs, let's say. No, basically, I'm really happy to be here. I think, I wanted to be for a huge challenge, and I think that this one is probably the most important right now. In Europe, and I think as a French, as a civil servant and patriot, I think that France has to be part of this chapter of history, and if not, we don't have to be out of the picture of what happened right now here in Ukraine. And in terms of, from that point of view, I think that French companies, the economy, we have to support and to provide a strong support to what happened right now. I was also very impressed by my first contact with the Ukrainian authorities, by the fact they're really concerned about the economy, the investment, how to support the military spending, the resilience of the economy. And I think we have a strong role, a critical role to play to help the authorities. So, of course, it's not business as usual. It's exceptional times. It's going to be quite difficult, challenging, let's say, to support the French project. But at the same time, I think there will be already a lot of French projects in the pipe that we can promote, especially to the Ukrainian authorities. They have a lot of needs, especially in terms of transport, infrastructure, agribusiness, IT, and I think we can be a part of of course, we can be part of the reconstruction of Ukraine. On these points, I'm really. I don't know if you have you already know, because the Prime Minister announced that we are going to organize an economic conference about the reconstruction in Ukraine. So I'm working close with the Ministry of Economy. It's going to be on the presidential level, with probably intervention of Zelensky, President Macron, and probably some ministers from Ukraine and from France. So it's going to be, we are thinking that's going to be a huge event. Right now, it's absolutely not official. I mean, it's still, I mean, a draft project. I mean, how we are going to organize that, and I will be really happy to discuss with you. I mean, your ideas about how to organize this event, because I think we need this political framework. I mean, to support the French companies to invest in Ukraine. We need to get some visibility to the Ukrainian authorities, and to know their needs and how to match their needs with the French companies that are willing to invest in Ukraine. And especially we need to identify, you know, so for example, I mean, I can go back later into details about this conference, but we are thinking to organize some breakout session, and for example, some breakout session dedicated to specific sectors, for example, IT, agribusiness, or transport, logistics. So I'm already in touch with the Ukrainian authorities to think about it, but if you have some example, and especially as well, we want to put on the spot some very concrete project. We don't want to say, just like to sign a MOU and to say, yes, we are going to support Ukraine. No, we want really to provide really concrete examples, what we are already doing for them, and what we can do. So, yeah, let me finish to say the thing that I think the reconstruction is not, but I think we are already in this spirit, but maybe something that is not the case in Paris, but the reconstruction is right now. As said the ambassador, I mean, in the mind of the authorities here, it's just like how to modernize the economy right now, how to rebuild the infrastructure. So we have to be here right now, and not, because tomorrow is going to be too late. And so we have to put the French flag and to even if it's small project, but if it's a small project with some visibility, you know, to put on the spot, for example, the French expertise in some specific sectors, in terms of technology, in terms of it could be really helpful for later. And just to conclude, I'm not an expert at all in the Ukrainian economy. You're really, you know, absolutely better than me, of course. So probably I'm going to be in touch later for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Baptiste. We see that you are already extremely busy and motivated, so that's good for us. I just want to ask one question. There was this specific relationship between Bruno Le Maire and the government in Ukraine. Do you plan to continue this format?
Yes, no, that's a good question. Yes, we want, and I think Bruno Le Maire is really keen to resume the good relationships with his Ukrainian counterparts. The fact that Avakov has left is a question mark, because but anyway, with Monartisky they have still a good relationship, and we want to relaunch the joint commission. Probably beginning of next year. This is what is planned at the moment. And we will organize for a phone call between the two co-chair of the joint French-Ukrainian Commission. So yes, and also there is an interest from the Ukrainian side to resume discussions about our so-called big contracts, such as Alstom and others. And so it's going slowly, but it will be on track, I think, again quite soon. Yes, there is a will on both sides to go back to get back to normalcy on this also. Yes, and Bruno Le Maire, yes, will be involved. Not now, but he is going to be involved, I think, in the coming weeks or months. Yeah.
Okay, so I propose that if you have some question, feel free. It's the right moment.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, cher Etienne. Thank you, Jean-Baptiste. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce, Carlos and Maud for this very interesting conference and the opportunity to discuss about all those topics. We are very impressed by the resilience of Ukrainian, the Ukrainian economy. Very happy to see also super decisive progress of the Ukrainian army in those last days. I think we have a concern, short-term concern. It's about energy. What's your feedback about energy? Because it's central for the lives of the Ukrainian and for the economy for the coming months. And what's your feedback following the quote unquote statement from Russia on Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant? Because they said that now it's an asset of Russia. And do you think it will change something and so on?
So for the energy and for the winter, of course, it's a big question mark. Our understanding is that if there is no strikes on the infrastructures or no big strikes, or if those strikes are not successful enough on the infrastructure, they will get properly through the winter time because that's a reserve. People have also left Ukraine, so the demand is less high than it was before the war. Of course, you have 5 million people outside and 6 million displaced inside. Their tanks are full and so on. And they have quite a lot of coal and woods and so on and so forth. They have this now more or less legendary capacity of react, of resilience. But the big question mark is this possibility from Russia to strike big infrastructures. Would they be capable, I mean, with the air defense to stop the attacks? There is these new drones from Iran that maybe you have seen. So this is the question. And if there is strikes, of course, they will come in the coming days or weeks, because just before the winter time, they didn't want to strike in August, because in August you have time to repair so they will, unfortunately, they should arrive more or less now. You know, now we have seen since February a lot of challenges and at each time they were capable to overcome those obstacles. You remember, for those who were there in February, there were a lot of questions when they switch off from the Belarus and Russian grid, and then everyone were, in particular the Anglo-Saxon, were saying they will not be capable, they will be lost because they will not have the security nest from Russia, and they will not get the one from European. And they managed a lot of very difficult things. For example, the railway they made a fantastic job. So, having this in mind, I am fairly confident also in that respect. But anyway, it will be challenging for sure. And the main challenge will come from the capacity of Russia to strike or not to strike, or to destroy, not to destroy, because they will strike anyway, but the result of those strikes remains to be seen. So this will be the big question mark. But if they overcome this obstacle, they will go through winter more or less. Sorry, I had to add another point. They will go properly in the right bank of the river Dnipro, of course, because on the left bank it will be much more difficult, because all has been destroyed, including in Kharkiv. That would be more challenging. Yeah, and you had a.
The statement from regarding the asset of the jet.
Yes, so Zaporizhzhia, it's yeah. No, Zaporizhzhia, it's a very good example of the fight between the two countries, because what Russia is trying to get is to connect Zaporizhzhia to Crimea. So first they have stopped the links to mainland Ukraine, and now they want to reconnect with Crimea. It's not easy for them to do that. And there is also the military situation. And my sense is that the Ukrainians are fairly confident that they will get back by force the nuclear plants, because it's not very far from the front at the moment. And so this is their expectation. They do not put it publicly, but I think at one way or another, they intend to get back the plant by military means. Yeah.
And I believe that energy could be also one of the sectors that we could include in the forum, because here we have some cooperation also to maybe to some partnership to organize. Very important sector in Ukraine. Ukraine is quite a green country. It's not known, but quite a green country.
Thanks to the nuclear.
Thanks to the nuclear. So I think we have also some perspective for the French company to cooperate in this direction.
Yes, no, you're right, especially for the energy. But it's a sensitive topic, especially the nuclear for the forum. But it's a very good idea.
No, but you have the renewable project.
Exactly. No, especially the green economy and everything. And I think it's also in the mindset of the authorities to go straight to the next step.
There was this morning the discussion with the Deputy Minister of Agriculture, and he was saying that they are focusing on ethanol production, biogas. So it's also one of the topic who is on the table.
Yes.
Question. No question?
Yes, I'm Philippe Roger. I'm from ADEO, which is a group of where is Leroy Merlin and other big retail business. My question is regarding the position of the government, the Ukrainian government, for French companies who are still operating in Russia and in Ukraine. What do they think, and what can we expect from them?
Yeah, that's a difficult question because it's a very sensitive one. At the beginning, they were very aggressive, I think, including regarding Auchan, Leroy Merlin, and some pharmaceutical companies. They continue to push against those French brands. But I think now they have more or less understood that we have retreated from Russia, including the banks and others. So we have, from time to time, we have a difficult dialogue on this. But I think more or less things are going now back also to a certain kind of normalcy. They have understood that we are serious when we are talking about sanctions against Russia. We are back, we are probably on the verge to adopting the 6th package. So this is not, at this moment, this is no longer a hot issue, I would say. It was clearly the case during the first weeks, but now it's, yeah. This is, maybe you have an...
Yeah, and also to show to the Ukrainian government that your company is investing in Ukraine, because at the end of the day, this is the most important, is to show that we are supporting the Ukrainian economy. We had also some issues, not the same level, amplitude as yours, but and really the main message is to say we are in Ukraine, we are supporting Ukraine, we are investing in Ukraine. This is the best defense line. Other?
Hello, my name is Julien Leroy Merlin, also Ukraine. To redevelop Ukraine, we need to bring goods from Europe, because as we know that actually Odessa it's not operational, and today we face a lot of complexity due to the queue on the transport, on the logistic, and also to send goods from Ukraine to Europe. What are the action take in consideration by Europe to support, to help this logistic flow to develop?
Maybe Jean-Baptiste will follow up, but yeah, that's a big problem. I agree with you, and we have tried through different initiatives, if I'm well informed, to facilitate the border crossing. But it's not properly done. So I think you have to raise the issue probably with the European Commission, because there is what's the name of this initiative? I don't remember. But
to export the agriculture.
Yeah, for the agriculture corridor was put in place. Solidarity corridors, or something like that. But it's a question that you should continue to highlight, in particular to the European Commission, European delegation here, because for your cost, I think it's a problem also for the transportation, and it's bad use of means, because when your driver, you know, there is a shortage of drivers, which is normal in a war. And it's not efficient to have drivers blocked at the border for weeks or for days or hours. So, but I understand that it's a bit complicated with the Poles, because they do not have the capacity also to absorb the flux of movements. But yeah, I encourage you to continue to protest on this matter.
Yes, no, I'm already in touch as well with the Ukrainian authorities about that, especially in the Chamber of Commerce, and we were thinking as well to put this issue in Paris for the economic conference, because if we are talking about increasing the economic relationship between Ukraine and France, it's not possible to transport the goods. Well, it's going to nowhere. So we have to solve this issue. It's really crucial and critical.
Just a question. It connects to this. It's about business. I know that both of you, Mr. Ambassador and Jean-Baptiste, you are working very hard to solve this issue. Can you update on recommendations for business trips? We are not supposed to be here. But
you are not here.
I'm not here, but I'm very happy to be not here with you. So it's very important. Business is also physical contact. So both sides, Ukrainians are discussing with their governments to be able to have business trips abroad, but how and when it will be easier for French businessmen to come in Ukraine?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, no, this is a point that we have discussed, Laurent, many times with you and others. It's a key issue. I'm completely convinced. Of course, as you can imagine, I have taken opportunity of the visit of the Minister Colonna last week to raise again the issue. Finger crossed, we should have, maybe, I hope so, a decision to downgrade, but just for one level, our Conseil aux voyageurs tomorrow. So there will be a meeting in Paris about that. It's not done because, of course, from Paris, when you hear about Ukraine, you cannot imagine that the life is normal, almost normal here. And but I will continue to plead for that, and I'm confident there will be a discussion tomorrow, and if the outcome is positive, of course, I will let you know immediately. So my recommendation was this is forbidden to come to Ukraine, except if you have a good professional or family reasons to come. So it's let's hope, but I am fully on your side on this.
Good day, Vyacheslav Bezruk, CCIFU. You mentioned our vessel who came to Constanța. Maybe this information can be a bit of secret, but France is perceived in Ukraine among major powers as a bit lacking of military assistance to Ukraine. What can be expected in this respect nearest time?
On this, to be perfectly frank, you have to distinguish the quantity and the quality. And for the quantity, maybe it's not, we are not at that level. There are good reasons for that. First, the fact that our army is stretched to Africa, for example. So we have other fields to cover. Maybe there is also a shortage of equipment in France, and this is something that we are working on. But if you look to the quality and to the capacity to respond on short delays, we are very good. So when I mentioned the fact that we were based, the embassy continued to be based in Ukraine, that was also a reason for our efficiency, I would say. So we compensate the quantity by the quality, first things. I mean, you have seen that our Caesar artillery cannons are among the best, and they are becoming a star. And just to give you an inside information, I intend to launch next week Borch, a new recipe for Borch, Ukrainian Borch, which is going to be called Borch Cannon Caesars, you know, to take advantage of the name of the brand of this cannon. And also, in addition to the Caesar salad, there will be a Caesar Borch. And maybe next time we will enjoy the Caesar Borch. My cook is working on that to try to make the best recipe, possible recipe. No, it's just a joke, but anyway, it's also a symbol of the capacity of what we are providing. And you have also, I cannot be more explicit here, but you have also what we do in weaponries, but also in addition to that, we can provide different kind of assistance, and we are providing a lot in this area, I would say. So this is why maybe we are not very well ranked if you look at just the quantity. But there is no criticism from the Ukrainian officials, because they know our capacity to react quickly, and they know what is not in the visible, what is not visible, I would say.
I can answer there is a question about to give more details about the economic forum in Paris. So in Tinaro, it's still, a draft. It's really inside information is between us. So we are. I'm trying to fix the date. I'm still I'm in touch with the cabinet of Bruno Le Maire to fix the date, because it's really difficult. But probably it's going to be during December, and probably the beginning of December. How it's going to be designed? The thing is that we are thinking about intervention, a speech of President Macron and Zelensky to open the ceremony, to open the conference. Then at the ministry level, from Ukraine coming in Paris, especially, and then we want to. We want to hear about the needs of Ukraine, and how to match these needs with the French companies willing to be part of the reconstruction. So probably there will be also some French companies and Ukrainian companies who are going to take the floor and to talk about a specific project. And also, we are thinking to sign some financing project at that time to to show how our concrete results of our relationship and cooperation about the rebuilding. But I'm going to. I really want to work with you on that, and I'm not going to hesitate to share with you more information as soon as I have some ideas and the clear picture of what is going to be. But probably as well we are going to organize something like we are thinking with the Chamber of Commerce, the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce, to organize a side event, a parallel event. So something organized in Kiev, something organized in Paris, to have 2 rooms and to, I mean, because we can understand, I mean, in terms of logistics, in terms of transport, it's going to be quite difficult as well. So we have also that in mind. So I will come back to you for more details.
One more question, maybe the last one.
One question is a bit more simple, but first of all, thanks for everybody. Some French who have some problem to have document like a resident permit in Ukraine, because embassy in Europe, Ukrainian embassy are closed, so it's difficult to have post-vita and things like this. Is it possible to have some help or some, we could say, advice to success this? C'est ouvert?
No. Yes, it's open. Okay. The Ukrainian embassy in Paris is open.
Ah, okay.
This is efficiency.
2 weeks before they say no.
Okay.
Okay, Etienne, thank you very much.
Thank you,
And so, and of course, we'll continue this conference. Maybe next one will be, I don't know, in February or maybe earlier. After the general meeting. Voilà. Thank you very much.
Merci.